Happy fall, you guys. I am so stoked. Today is the first day of fall 2021. I have a glass of celebratory red wine here. I'm freshly out of the shower. My face has nothing on it, and I am feeling so inspired and excited. I thought I would just sit down, talk to you guys about what everybody else is going to be talking about for the next week or two, which is this wonderful season of autumn. So today I've got no real plan. I don't know where I'm going with my makeup. I'm just gonna let the spirit grab me and just use whatever I feel like. So because I am just out of the shower, I'm gonna go ahead and use a little bit of my Too Faced Hangover RX to prime. I'm not gonna focus too heavily on the products that I'm using. I think we're all pretty familiar with the process of putting on makeup and all these mainstream products. So really, I'm just here to hang out and chat, really. So fall is, I think I know for a lot of people, almost like a new year. In my mind, it's my new year. It's when I feel the most inspired and ready for change, and I get all my ideas for like, what do I want to accomplish in the next year by next fall. So for me, this is really like a holiday in a way. So I've been thinking a lot about, you know, what are my goals for the next year and what am I hoping to accomplish before this year does end. And one of the big things that I really want to work on, and this probably sounds really silly, like someone my age should already be pretty well on top of, but that's getting up early in the morning. Or at least earlier than I do. I tend to actually naturally wake up between 6:30 and 7, usually in the 6 o'clock hour, really, every morning. And instead of getting out of bed at that point, I force myself back to sleep. And then when my alarm goes off at 7:15, it's almost impossible to get out of bed. And in fact, I typically don't until sometime in the 8 o'clock hour. So if I were to just, you know, follow that initial wake up that my body does naturally, I would be in a lot better shape as far as getting up early and getting more done throughout the day. So I think for my base today, I want to go with something a little bit lighter in texture. So I'm just going to go with my Light Illusion foundation from Flower Beauty. Since I'm doing a small project pan, excuse me, since I'm doing a small project pan right now, the other few foundations that I do have in my collection tend to get a little neglected. So today I'm going to let myself just go ahead and use whatever I want because I'm celebrating, essentially. So when it comes to this time of year, I always switch just like that into reading mode. And I'm in luck this year. I started a series by one of my favorite authors, Brandon Mull, and it's called 5 Kingdoms, and it's 5 books, as you might kind of deduce there. And I read the first book and loved it, went right through it, so I bought the series, even though it was going to be a repeat of one book. I wanted the whole series because I'm one that rereads my books. So I went ahead and bought myself the whole 5 books at once, and by the time this happened, it was entering summer, and I got about halfway through book number 2, and as much as I really enjoyed it, I just kind of ran out of steam because summer is just, for some reason, a dead zone for me when it comes to reading. And so I feel like I can remember the story well enough that I can just pick right back up on that book 2 about halfway through. And I will have another 3 books to go to read and enjoy for this season, which frankly, really my reading season starts in autumn and ends in, you know, summer, once summer starts. So, you know, I got about 9 months ahead of me of reading, so I will certainly read more than those books, but I've already got my books here and I know what I'm starting on, so I'm excited. I also have a few books that I tend to reread every year, and I start in fall. It's kind of an odd little habit that I have, but it's what I do. So one is Stepmother, which is the retelling of Cinderella, but it's through the fairy godmother's perspective, and it's of course not following the plot exactly of Cinderella. It's kind of like a side story and takes place actually after Cinderella does, but it intermingles the story of when she was Cinderella's fairy godmother and then after, you know, where she is now. And it is so good. I would highly recommend that one to anybody. In fact, I'm going to go ahead and grab the couple of books that I do read every year just so I can show you. Okay, so I got the books here. I got the goods. This is Godmother by Carolyn Turgon. This is what the book looks like. I've read this every year for probably the last 5 years. It's a real quick read. It's not super long. I'm trying to find a number on here. In the low 200s page-wise. And like I was explaining earlier, this is the retelling of Cinderella's fairy godmother. Out of all these books that I'm going to recommend to you now, this is the one that I think if you're only going to pick one, go with this one. The next one is called Midnight Pearl, which is a retelling of The Little Mermaid. And that last name on the author I cannot pronounce, so I'll let you go ahead and take a shot at it. Really not at all what you would expect out of this. There's a little bit more intrigue to it in my humble opinion, and I think anyone, any age would enjoy this. And then this is a series of 3 books. Let's see, I want to get them in order for you. I should have done this beforehand, huh? Okay, book 1, book 2, book 3. So book 1 right here, The Dark Divide, or The Dark Hills. Really good. Patrick Carman is the author, and this is the main character in the book, and it follows her essentially through a very kind of magical journey from her city, which is set back time-wise in like old times. Old times, that's real descriptive. I couldn't give you a year because it's mythical, you know, there's wizards and not monsters, but mythical creatures in it. And this is kind of her journey discovering that world, not knowing it existed even before. So it starts with The Dark Hills Divide, book 1. Book 2 is Beyond the Valley of Thorns. Looks like this. And these are real quick, easy reads, about 200 pages a piece. And then The 10th City is the last one. These, again, you know, it might just be my childish taste, but these kind of young adult books are some of my favorites. They're easy to read, they're easy to follow, but they're also just full of magic and mystery and a type of whimsy that I feel gets lost, you know, for the demographic of, you know, 20 and older people. The storylines kind of change into maybe more romantic or like gory type subjects, which I love, like mystery books and gory books, and I've got stuff like that. But this type of reading is the most joyful for me, and all these books, as I've already said, I read every year without fail, and these are definitely, of course, on my list for this coming fall. I'm sure I'll read all of these before fall is over. So, anyway, moving on. Where was I? I was doing my foundation. I would love to hear if anybody has, excuse the noise, if anybody has any tried and true favorite books or authors that they just always recommend, or, you know, that they reread themselves. I think rereading books seems to be kind of uncommon, which I think is the reason libraries still exist, frankly. You know, a lot of people in my family think it's crazy that I own all my books. I never get books from the library. I buy them, I figure out what I want to read, and I'll buy them either new or secondhand. I try to go secondhand for books as much as I can, just because small bookstores are special and becoming kind of rare this day and age with Amazon and just everything being online. And the experience and smell of going into a bookstore is special and something that I hate to see being kind of phased out, and future generations probably won't get to know that joy, or they won't if we don't continue supporting those kinds of businesses. So yeah, those are kind of what I'm going to be reading, and you know, my favorite fall books. Now you know. Is there anything you guys do that is fall specific as far as like You could do it any time of year, but fall is just when you're really in whatever mode. I know for some people it seems to be arts and crafts. People get real crafty when fall hits. I always enjoy the concept of crafts, but things that require that kind of small detail and kind of, I don't want to say toiling, but faffing, I suppose. I always like it in theory, but then when I try it, I just get frustrated. So that's really not my thing, but I know plenty of people who, you know, as soon as September rolls around, they're buying their wreath making equipment and, you know, getting ready to get crafty. And so if you're crafty, let me know what kind of crafts do you enjoy during the fall. I'm curious about that. Okay, so I think for bronzer, I'm going to go with my Hourglass bronzer, the one that just came in last year's palette. Man, I have used this so much. But these baked Hourglass products, oh, it takes forever to show progress. Oh, but I did recently hit pan on my mini ambient lighting powder that I use under my eyes sometimes. So that's exciting. I actually accomplished that. Let's see. You know what else, though? Bookstores, circling back around to that. I feel like that's something that I'm really glad I talked about because, you know, it is so uncommon to go into bookstores anymore, and I haven't been, you know, in a reading mode lately, so I haven't been into a bookstore in, really probably about 6 months now, actually, or more. Oh, geez. So, yeah, I think I'm going to go ahead and put that on my upcoming adventures list, something fun to do. I'm going to go to a bookstore. Even though I'm not in the market for a book, I'm going to go and I'm going to peruse and just enjoy the smell of the store and the sound of the pages turning as people flip through and, you know, try to read those cliff notes, decide what they're going to get. That sounds like fun. I'm going to do that. I am one of those people that thinks that fall decorations are appropriate year-round. So I've always got leaves and pumpkins and owls and that kind of stuff out as decoration, but I do love going and getting new fall decorations every year. Not a ton, but just like 1 or 2 things, usually a pumpkin and something owl related. So I'm gonna have to go, that's another thing I'm gonna have to go do is find my next fall treasure, essentially. I don't know, I'm just rambling. I don't know what blush to use. I don't feel like any of these blushes scream fall to me. Just so you know, I've worked a full day. It's not morning, it's not early afternoon. So please don't judge me if you don't drink or if it seems weird to see me drinking in a video. I'm celebrating. Guys, what do I use? Nothing is sticking out. Oh, you know what? No, I know what I'm gonna use. I'm going to use Dante's Dream Cream Blush by Lisa Eldridge. And you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to squirt it onto my foundation palette because there's just a little bit of foundation left. And I'm going to mix it just to kind of tone down the color just a touch. Because I feel like, I mean, it's a beautiful color, but it's quite pigmented. So I think that might be a nice way to use it. And I'm going to start by putting it on a stippling brush and then I'll probably smooth it out using my Beauty Blender. So what else do I like to do in the fall? Oh, yeah. There's this road not far at all from where I live called Cat Whiskers Road. And it is lined with these tall, old maple trees. And so as you can imagine, when fall really sets in and those leaves start to turn and fall, that is just a magical street to drive down. I drive down it multiple times. I go out of my way to do it. Even though it's close by, it's not at all on any of my routes, you know, to work or for shopping that I do, like going to the store or anything. It's not on my way for anything. I don't even know anyone that lives over, you know, in that direction. But I do go out of my way several times throughout the fall to drive down that street and just take in the gorgeous changing leaves. Oh man, I've always thought ever since I was a kid that, you know, if I were to have a house, that's the street I would want my house to be on. Oh man, If I were rich, I would just go and pick out the house that I like and knock on their door and tell them to name their price. I want to live on that street. That's kind of a nice fall blush. You know, I'm really not one that subscribes to the idea that, you know, there's a certain color palette for fall or for any season. But I do have certain looks or tones that to me really inspire me or make me think of fall. So for me, that's not really the traditional like greens and purples. It's more like the burnt, like this kind of color, or chocolatey browns, that kind of thing. That makes me think of fall makeup. But I think everybody's definition of fall makeup would probably be different. The color palette would probably be different. Like some people think of purples and reds to be summer colors. You know, and to me when I think of summer, I think more of like greens and yellows. Alright, I don't know. I think you know what I'm saying. I'm going to go ahead and just let the excess sit on my palette, and I might touch it up a little bit as we go forward. But for now, you know, I think that's good. You know what else? When I got that order from Jamie Genevieve, it included a little sample of the Skin Nova skin tint. So I'm going to use a little bit of that on my cheeks today. So I'll just give you a look at this just in case anybody's curious. This has a very gel-like texture, and it's got kind of like a citrusy floral scent to it. It's very pleasant, and of course it goes very sheer. It's, you know, a kind of a, what they called it, Skin Dew. I just said it and I can't remember. Skin Nova. You know, just a kind of a subtle highlighting product. But I like it. I've used it a couple times and I think it looks nice. It doesn't seem to accentuate texture too much, which is something I really struggle with, is, you know, texture on my skin. So yeah, I like that stuff. And in fact, you know, in my previous video I was complaining about the quality of her packaging, and this is another one. This showed up. Even their sample packaging, you can see all these black marks all over it. It showed up like that. It looks like it's been just rolling around loose in a box waiting for, you know, to be shipped out, and it's, you know, just all dinged up, like it's scratched even. I don't know if you can tell, but those aren't just like black scuff marks. It's like something, like it was in a box of nails or something waiting to be shipped. But this is a product where the quality is so nice. I would love to have it, but I just can't trust the packaging. Alright, I'm going to stick with my Too Faced powder that I'm using in my project pan. And taking a sip of wine. Oh, I'm so stoked. I bought some candles from Bath & Body Works. They had a nice sale going, so I only got 4. And I don't believe any of them are scents that I've had in the past. I always try to get different scents than I've tried before, you know, just for fun. But they're all fall related. And they're supposed to show up tomorrow. So I am so stoked to get my fall candles in. Oh, and I ordered from Lush. They had their like little Halloween type bath bombs out, and you know, like their seasonal rollout. They've got that going. So I got, I think it was a pumpkin shaped bath bomb. And then the other ones are, let's see, there's one that smells, the scent description's like kind of like a latte, and then I got the classic Butterball. That's my favorite one that I've ever used from them. And I got a bubble bar, and the scents on it is like apple cider and cinnamon and clove. So I am just so excited. And I recalked my bathtub, so it's got like nice fresh caulk on it. You know, it looks nice and clean. I'm just beyond thrilled that it is bath season again, and I'm going to enjoy it thoroughly. Okay, so that's just my base for now. I'll probably do a little bit of touch up in a little bit, but I'm going to move straight on to my eyeshadow. And although I did prime already, I'm going to go over it first as a base with my newest paint pot from MAC. Well, it's the only one I own now, actually. In Contemplative Slate. I got this in Ulta's 21 Days of Beauty sale. And this is the color. It's a lot like my shirt. I love this color. And in fact, this is not at all the color that was represented on their website. I thought this was going to be much more like the tone of my skin, and not at all. But that's really not a bad thing. This color, if I had seen this color represented, I would have ordered it, you know, for the color that it is. So I am not at all disappointed in what I got. And I've never really had any cream eyeshadows in this color family. And it's really one of my favorites. These kind of burnt, yellowy, mustardy, brown colors. Love them. So this is going to make a nice base for my eye makeup today. Just a nice light wash of, you know, a background color. Get it started. And I'm just using a little synthetic fluffy brush to apply this. I used to use my fingers to apply my paint pots over the years. You know, I thought, oh, that's the best way to do it. And then once I started using a fluffy brush, I realized this is far superior, at least for me. I can actually get into, you know, like the inner corner, you know, where it folds here, and I don't get anything under my nails, or, you know, or like, you know, in here, like at your tear duct. It's easy to buff and blend, and you can shear it out, so it's a nice thin layer of product and much less likely to crease. I bet all of you already know this and use your paint pots this way, and I'm the last one. But yeah, I was thinking it, so I said it. And then just on a little tapered pencil brush, I'll go under to set the base there for whatever I decide to go over it with. I actually think I know what I'm going to use. So yeah, this is going to be good. Something I used to struggle with paint pots was applying too much and then getting a lot of creasing, or creasing very quickly. So it can be really tempting to go overboard with the paint pot. But if you use some self-control and some restraint, they really are quite fabulous as even just a primer on their own. Okay, so I'm going to go in with the color Maple from my Too Faced the Natural Nudes Born This Way palette, and that's this color here. And I think what I'm going to do is just go with a large fluffy brush. This is a Sonia Kashuk brush. They discontinued this one, and oh man, I wish I had known they were going to do that, because I would have bought backups. This is one of my favorite brushes in my collection. And in fact, for a long time, it was my favorite brush. And pretty affordable too. I've actually never had any other Sonia Kashuk brushes. Man, that's a brand you don't hear anymore, huh? I don't know if she's strictly sold at Target or if you can find her in other stores, but I feel like I've never seen Sonia Kashuk products anywhere else. But they look really nice and they're reasonably priced, and just based off of this one brush, I feel pretty confident that the quality is nice. So I'm just taking that maple color basically where I took the paint pot, so you know, over the lid, buffed into the crease, under the eye. Okay, act surprised, you guys. I'm gonna use Moonwalk from ColourPop. And this I am going to use with my finger. This is my all-time favorite ColourPop eyeshadow. And it just kind of works its way into so many of my makeup looks. I feel like I kind of have gotten really boring with my makeup. I used to be way more adventurous. But you know, even when I sit down and think I'm really going to go all out today, I end up with a wash of color and like a pop of something. It's not real structured, so I don't know, that's just what I gravitate towards. I'm going to zoom you in so you can see. Wow. What do you think? I love that kind of color combo. And seal it up tight. I'd be so sad if they discontinued this. I don't know how long I've had it, but it's still nice and creamy. Is my tongue... Oh, it's getting gross. That's the one thing about red wine, is it always makes your tongue all purple and weird. I was saying something, wasn't I? Anyway, doesn't matter. Okay. I think that that's respectable, right? It's just what I felt like doing. I guess just because we're celebrating doesn't mean that we have to be crazy and, you know, cakey. Okay, so I just thought like a smoky, easy brown liner would be best. I'm gonna go ahead and go with my go in with my brow product. So tonight we are having braised ribs, pork ribs, and I have them braising in red wine, which is just kind of my favorite technique. And to me, that really is like a fall cozy comfort type food. Braised any meat, really, anything braised. Pretty stoked about it. So is there anything you guys find to be like fall specific? I know like cinnamon rolls and pumpkin spice latte is kind of the natural everybody's go-to, except, I mean, I love cinnamon rolls, don't get me wrong, my husband just made some, they're bomb. But pumpkin spice latte, I don't get the hype, and don't come for me. It's not my taste. I find that those kind of syrupy drinks have a really weird aftertaste, and it really ruins it for me. So, you know, upon, you know, the first sip of a pumpkin spice latte, it tastes great. But then, you know, there's that aftertaste, and it's just super artificial and unpleasant. At least for me it is. So I'm not on the pumpkin spice latte train. When I think of fall or fall drinks, I think of like cinnamon tea specifically, which doesn't have a weird aftertaste and is far more healthy for you too. So if I'm going to be eating braised meats, I should follow it with some tea. Just saying. Okay, so I'm liking the way everything's looking, so I'm just going to quickly finish off with some mascara, and I'm going to leave my lips the way they are, this nice kind of wine stain that's very fall, don't you think? Wine stained lips. Okay, so this mascara is getting harder and harder to open. It's starting to get kind of gummy and dried out, so you will be seeing this in an empty soon. Have you ever used up a mascara, like actually used it up? I don't believe that I have. I feel like the, you know, 3 to 6 months safety time that you have on it isn't enough to use it up, even with daily use. And besides that, it gets, like, it starts flaking and gets dried out before you use it up, even if you could use it up in 3 to 6 months. I've never had a mascara that stayed, you know, performing well for that long. I don't know. I think minis are the way to go. The only issue I have with minis when it comes to mascaras specifically is that the, what do you call this? The spoolie is so close to the handle that it's kind of hard to maneuver in a way. And I end up like kind of making a mess of my mascara. Interesting. I feel like this eye's burning a little bit. I wonder if this has had its time. Well, if it does it again tomorrow, I'll know. Or if like it continues. I don't know. Interesting. That one might be done. Okay, so that's my fall makeup. No lips. No, you like that camera work? Really good. So there's the eyes, kind of easy, simple base, no lipstick. It's really not fall makeup, it's the makeup I felt like doing, and I'm celebrating fall today, so there's my fall face. Full face of fall, that'd be a good, tag for people to do? Full face of fall? Or make it like a parody, like full face of fall, and you could use like pumpkin spice powder for your blush and like cinnamon sticks rubbed on your lips for your plumper, like something funny. If anybody has the time and the bravery to do that, I'd love to see it. I'd watch that video. Anyhow, thank you guys for joining me. I am so happy. I'm sure you can tell. And yeah, I'm so excited to keep making more videos about fall stuff. I feel like this is the only time of year I would ever be comfortable vlogging. So I'm thinking bookstores, pumpkin patches, I don't know what. Ooh, cat whiskers, that road I was talking about. Yeah, there's gonna be some fun stuff coming up. Anyway, thanks for being here, and I'll see you next time.